Okay, does this happen to anyone else when they fly? It probably doesn't, but there's got to be someone else out there who this happens to. So I have this thing with my ear. When I was little, I had multiple ear infections. When I was 8, so that means I had ear infections from 8 to 0, pretty much. When I was 8, I got tubes put in my ears. Um, After that, I don't know if I had already lost my hearing or I lost it during the surgery. Like, oh, we don't know. Like, I know I already had hearing problems, but we really don't know. Like, I don't remember. My parents don't remember. So I have been deaf in my left ear as long as I can remember. I don't know what it's like to hear with 2 ears. Um, I guess technically I have 5% hearing, but it doesn't matter. Um, so when in 10 years ago, I went to an ear specialist. Like, they do surgery and like all those things. I said, look, I have been deaf since I was, at least since I was 8, when they put tubes in my ears. And I want to know, can I use a hearing aid? Is there like something I can try to get some hearing on this side? Because when I'm old and I start to lose my good hearing, I'm just going to be deaf. So they tested my hearing and I still have really good hearing on my right, so which is great. But my left was 5%, like I said. So at this place they do like a CT scan and they do like I don't know, it was state of the art, and this was 10 years ago and it's even better now, but so she comes back and she's like, "Hey, did you have other surgery besides that and like on your ears?" I said, "No." It was tonsils, adenoids, and tubes is what they did. And she was like, "Well, you have a lot of scar tissue." And I was like, "Yes, I've been told that by every doctor who's ever looked at my ear. Like an unusual amount of scar tissue." So she says, "So you don't have the middle ear bone at all." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And she's like, "It's gone." Like that. She says, "I have a feeling," and obviously we can't prove this, that the middle ear bone was removed by said doctor that did the surgery on me. So this was 10 years ago. I was 38, and that had been 30 years at that point, and I can't sue. So yeah. So I was like, well, that's so. She was like, "So hearing aid probably won't help you." And I was like, "Yeah, probably not." And I had tried the old kind on the ones like the big ones, and all it did was like make an echoey noise. She's like, "But we can put a titanium bone in there, and that will, make you be able to hear again." And I was like, "Awesome! How do you do that?" And then she started to explain the surgery to me, and she says, "So we cut in back here into your bone, your skull." And I'm like, "No, I'm good. Thank you. I've lived like this for 30 years, so no, it's fine." So I asked her that day, I said, "But the problem is when I fly." I said, "When I fly, my ear does this horrible thing where it feels like I'm being stabbed by an ice pick, and then the ice pick just stays in there for 20 minutes. Like it's like a constant ear pick stabbing. And it hurts so bad. I bawl my eyes out for 20 minutes on an airplane every single time. Like, it doesn't matter." So yeah, so this was 2014. So she said, "Yeah." I said, "Is my ear exploding in there? Like, what is going on?" And she said, "No, it's a suction thing that happens." If any audiologists or something see this, they can explain it, but she was like, "It's not a big deal. It's not exploding. It's just like suction from the scar tissue, and it's like it's sucking it in, and it hurts." And she says, "But you're not like, there's not terrible things happening." And I was like, "Okay." She said I could try Sudafed. That might help, but she said probably not. I'll just have to deal with it. So I was like, all right. So 4 years after that, we went to Guatemala, and the pain happened on that airplane. It happens when I get to about 29,000 feet, maybe a little before, depends. And it just, my husband said I screamed out, like I yelled out on the plane, and I totally forgot about that. And I remembered it because he told me this last week. He was, when we were on the plane to come home, he goes, try not to scream when your ear does the thing. And I was like, scream? And he's like, yeah, like in Guatemala. And I was like, oh shoot, I forgot. I remembered that people were staring at me. I was like, so anyway, so yeah, it happened in Guatemala, but it did not happen on the way home from Guatemala because it had been 11 days. And I guess, I don't know if because we were at a high altitude there already, or it was just, it had already done its thing. So it wasn't like, didn't need to do it again. I don't know. I don't understand. So this time when we took my daughter to college, I'm like, okay, I forgot about the Sudafed. I forgot about it in Guatemala too. But I was like, maybe it just won't happen this time. It happened. I could feel it. I could feel the pressure building up in my ear, both ears. But this one, it just feels different. And I was like swallowing over and over and over, like drinking water, swallowing. Like maybe it won't happen. Maybe it won't happen. Holding my nose, blowing, like anything I could do to stop it from happening. I could feel it coming. I was like, crap, here we go. I was watching the little thing on the screen. It's United on their screen. It says how many feet you're at. And we got to 29,000 feet and bam, popped. It hurt so bad. I was like, I was like squeezing my eyes and I just like burst into tears. And I sit by the window, so if possible, so nobody has to like look at me crying. And I cried for 20 minutes. It would not stop. It was so painful. What are you doing? Cappuccino. It was so incredibly painful. And then it's like at the 20-minute mark, it just stops. The pain just stops. And that's it. And it goes away. And I have pressure, but I think I would think that was from my cold. So I don't know. If anybody else has this crazy ear thing, it doesn't feel like a pop. It just feels like I'm being stabbed, like with an ear pick, like an ice pick. It's very sharp and so painful. And it's horrible. And I have a high pain tolerance. Like if that tells you anything, I was just bawling. I'm just bawling my eyes out every single time. So, and every time I'm like, I'm never flying again. I hate this. So when I got home, when we got home from our trip, I researched this surgery again, and I was like, okay, I've got to do this surgery. I've just got to get it fixed. So I look into it, and I'm not doing that surgery. The side effects are horrible. It can go totally wrong. I'm not doing it, and it's an extremely long recovery. And so I'm just gonna have to deal with this. But maybe someone out there has a hack for this. I know it's so unusual, but there's got to be someone who's got this problem and figured out what to do. So anyways, that's it. I'm gonna go. I love y'all. Bye.